Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd, and with me is my
Sahih Isa Abu Isa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
His unders, the others in Hassan Somali and all the rest of them. But these brothers, mashallah, you know what I like about these brothers, yeah? They're not trying to bury the guys, yeah? But they're just being straight and firm and saying, listen, yeah, this dawah isn't just for you. Look, you agreed.
Na'am. Alhamdulillah, we would like to clarify today, or tonight rather, inshallah, the misconception of some of our brothers and others who have been seeing our recent videos and dealing with the current fitna within all of our cities, and for those who have been either oppressed, either been separated, been distant, or have felt any type of way in terms of a lot of the attacks that they've been getting even from amongst the students, as far as the name calling, being labeled from Ahlul Bid'ah, the people of innovation. We wanted to mention that the permissibility of using names as well as how to give advice. Can you give advice openly? We're going to use the statements, or the fatwa rather, the verdict of the Allama, Shaykh al-Islam, Shaykh ibn Baz, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, pertaining to giving advice in public. The Shaykh, he was asked, وَسُئِلَ Shaykh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, as-su'alu ati. He was asked the following question. مَتَى حَفِظُكُمُ اللَّهُ تَكُونَ النَّصِيحَ سِرًّا وَمَتَى تَكُونَ عِلْمًا. He was asked, Hafidukumullah, may Allah preserve you, O Shaykh, when is the time when the giving advice will be done privately, or when is the time it can be done in public? So the Shaykh, he responded by saying, يَعْمَلُ نَاسِهُ بِمَا هُوَ أَصْلِحُ. He said that the one giving advice, he will utilize giving this advice based on what is more suitable. In other words, based on what is suitable from the situation.
No.
His discretion. It's up, basically, the choice is left up to him.
It's to have a person, he knows his city, he knows his people, he knows their culture, he knows the situation, and maybe at this point, he already advised them in private, he already tried to rectify with them through letters, and through maybe sent them a video, or maybe he went to them personally. And he's been doing this for a couple of years now. Then he's at the point now, he's making a decision to say, okay, that's not working. What's the next step? So in his ijtihad, he says, okay, I know my people. I know if I say this and I say that, it's not going to cause as much ripple as people believe. So he makes that conscious decision to do that. And the Sheikh saying he has that right to make that decision.
Because it's based upon that discretion. Now, for those who don't know, we'll say this several times and several occasions when this masjid, back about 7 years ago, we have sat down with the likes of our brother Hassan Somoli. May Allah preserve him. And we had 2 meetings with him. One in front of Mukbil, where it had became a little bit back and forth. Well, actually, it wasn't back and forth. The brother, he got a little emotional. He was screaming and hollering, and he was saying some words to the effect that you're just a jahil individual, you're just an ignorant individual, you're just on the minbar, and that you have fanaticism towards our brother Tahir Wyatt. And he asked me another question as, when do you know that our brother Tahir Wyatt refutes the people of innovation? However, later on that night, I got a call from the same, from Hassan Somali, our brother, may Allah preserve him, where he apologized for his behavior out there in front of Mukbil. Masjid Mukbil, where Dua Hafid had to come out and take us into the office. Because a lot of people was out there. It was after a class that he was giving down there. Another time that I talked with him, that I went up there to Germantown Masjid via Isa Underdu, and I was speaking to him, and he said, well, listen, why don't you come speak to Somali about it? So Hassan Somali, he came up, and we sat down. It was me, Isa Underdu, Adu Kareem, and Hassan Somali. And we sat in the office, in the Germantown office, before they did the renovations. This is roughly about 4 or 5 years ago. And we sat down, and Isa Underdu took the time to record it. And as we sat in that meeting, there were some statements that were made to me from Hassan Somali, and my whole approach was to try to get him to come down. At this time, he didn't want nothing to do with us because of Tahir Wyatt have been invited to our masjid and have spoken. Muhammad Munir has been invited to our masjid and have spoken. And he told me to my face that I would never work in the arena with you in the field of dawah. And he also said, why not the brother at the time who was in charge of the masjid? Why didn't he come up there? Why is I'm coming up there asking? This was an attempt to try to ask him to work with us. Also, I recall me talking to Abu Hassan Malik. He was giving a class in Germantown Masjid, which was roughly about good 6-7 years ago. And I asked him personally as well, can he come down and open up some hadith class at the masjid? And he said, "Sanatakallam." That's what he said to me in Arabic. He said, we should speak about it. We will talk, inshallah. We should talk. Yeah. And needless to say, we never talked. Also, in terms of Anwar Wright, I have called him may Allah preserve him as well. I have called him on an occasion where it reached me that Anwar Wright, he used to make dua for me when he used to come back from his visits and stuff like that from another brother named Adu'alim. However, it reached me that, that the brother was saying that, some of the translations that you put out maybe wasn't correct. He said it was incorrect. So I contacted him to see where it was going at. I got his number from another brother, a third party, and when I called him, I said, "Salaam alaikum rahmatullah." He automatically was angry, then just went in, "How you got this number? How are you calling me?" And this is not about gossip. It's just to show you the attempts that has been made as far as the private advice, as far as the trying to do ta'awun. This is all what I'm bringing this up for. He said, "Why are you calling me? Why would you call this?" I said, "Well, okay, brother, it reached me that you were saying that some of the works that we put out was incorrect. I'm just trying to figure out how are you able to determine that." And he said to me, "Don't worry about it. We're going to sit you down." I believe at this time, Abu Hassan Malik and Hassan Somali were both in the UK. They was giving a lecture over there. He said, "Don't worry about it. When they come back, we will sit you down." When Abu Hassan Malik come back, Hassan Somali came in. Needless to say, nothing ever happened. I think the next week I went over there to Masjid Camden, and Anwar Wright was giving the khutbah. I passed him one of the books of my translation. I gave it to him for free. I told him that, trying to keep the ta'awun there. We also mentioned some advice that we was trying to work with the brothers. We call Hamza, and at the time I spoke to Hamza directly, Hamza Durazak, when he was the Imam of Ahlul Hadith, and I asked him how about an idea of all of us getting together, sitting down, not myself, but just amongst the students who have some riff, and getting a particular mashaykh, and to deal about it. And Hamza had told me, he said, well, you should busy yourself with such and such affair, and don't worry about that, because how you don't know if this issue is that issue and that. So these were some of the events and some of the my efforts of really trying to work with the brothers, and may Allah preserve them all. And even after that, I was contacting the brothers, and many people tell you I called a brother, and this is when Masjid bin Baz, before it was actually became Masjid bin Baz. He used to teach on 20th and Task, I believe, and the Musalla. And I contacted Abu Yusuf Khalifa at this time. And when I contacted Abu Yusuf Khalifa, I was asking him, can he come down to the masjid and give some talks, inshallah. And he said to me, "Brother, I live in New York, so won't you ask the brothers there in Philly?" Right? And I said, I was back in my mind, I found it ironic at that time, because I was saying, well, if you're coming all the way from New York to give talks at a Musalla, and here we have a masjid, and a masjid would definitely take precedent over a Musalla. And, at that time you had the likes of Kestra Khan coming from Ashbury Park giving talks at this Musalla. Everybody was going to the Musalla. So I'm asking you to come down and give us some benefit here. So needless to say, that ta'awun didn't work. Also, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Rabi', he gave some advice when the fitna took place with the mashaykh, some of the mashaykh in Kuwait, and he gave some advice how his father, Sheikh Rabi', had gave advice for the Salafis to work together, put aside their differences, don't name call, don't do this. And after hearing that talk, which was powerful from his son, I went up and took the initiative, and I contacted Abu Yusuf Khalifa. This is about 4 years later now. I contacted him and said, "Listen," he said, "look, I'm about to have a lecture that I'm giving up here at Ahlul Hadith." He said, "Won't you come up here and we can talk then?" So I go up there and I have a conversation with the brothers up there, Ahlul Hadith, thinking that, we're making mend fences at this time. At this time, when I was talking to them, we were speaking, they started asking me questions about our affiliation with the likes of Tahir Wyatt. and they started asking me our affiliation with the likes of Naeem Abu Abdullah. And it seemed as if all of the stuff here, and they had directed me to call a sheikh to say to, they didn't say which sheikh to call. They didn't give me a specific sheikh. They just said contact a sheikh and tell him that your masjid no longer have any contacts or any dealings with the likes of Muhammad Munir and Tahir White. Right? And then this is what they said to me. And I said, okay, all due respect, I don't have, and they also mentioned that, say that the mashaykhs have said that they have warned against Tahir White and so forth like that. I said, well, all due respect, I said, I don't recall a sheikh warning against Tahir White. I said, I do recall what I heard out of my own ears, Sheikh Salih Suhaimi saying he's the best in Aqidah, the best in Minhaj, the best in so forth, in mannerism and adab. No. He might didn't say Minhaj, but he said the best in Aqidah and the best in adab, best in manners and akhlaq that come out of Philadelphia. I said, I did hear that. All right, and I was saying to myself, I said, I don't know anything else besides that. And then they mentioned the issue about Naeem and the Sheikh Yahya incident, and it was just as if it sounded to me that the brothers were saying that unless I remove those barriers, they was going to, because after the end of the talk, they said that, well, our brother and our elder, Tawfiq Abu Zaynab, was going to leave from Masjid bin Baz. He was leaving soon from there. So maybe we can talk to him and ask him to come down there and do some talks at your masjid. And when they said this to me, it was as if I clear up those other things first, then it's able to do that. So to me, in my mind, it was like, okay, Islah is not going to happen. These guys not going to work with us unless we,
bend to their will.
Submit to the not dealing with certain personalities that is not even clear on any evidence, nor like Germantown will not work with us either, or Bin Baz. So it came to me at the time and said, okay, something is really going on. So me and the brother Isa, alhamdulillah, as y'all know, we get together by Allah Jalla wa Ala decree, and we were just teaching the people, and we dealt with some of the articles of dealing with cult characteristics that we found from our brother Abu Alia, and we just was addressing things in a general sense. And even from there, a lot of brothers was contacting and saying, is y'all talking about the brothers, or y'all saying this about the brothers? But in anybody right mind, the fact that you have to bring in your mind after reading that paper a certain group of people, and you automatically put them there without us saying their names, then that lets you know that you thinking they're doing the same thing that paper is saying. Right? So anyway, that happened.
And we made a call on our videos. Come down. The one video we did called the difference between calling to yourself and calling to Allah. We mentioned the masjids by name. And said if you think that we're making mistakes, then come down to the masjid and give classes and correct us.
Not even the mistakes. Not even just the mistakes. We were saying come down anyway.
Just come with the album. We've been calling. The last couple video we did it again. If brother Hassan Somoli wants to come down to the library, he's more than welcome to come down. Anybody's more than welcome to come here. If you're going to teach the books of the Sunnah and you're going to leave alone talking and slandering people, calling people deviants, then you're more than welcome to come down. Open up any book you like to with an explanation of the ulama, the qudama, or the hudatha, whether it's the new old scholars or the scholars of the day. You're more than welcome to come here and call to the Sunnah and Tawheed at this place right now.
So the reason why we came to the conclusion that now it's time to mention the names, going back to what the Sheikh is saying, why did we start mentioning names? And if anyone noticed, the names, when we started mentioning the names, we never defamed the brothers. No one can ever said that we defamed the brothers, we spoke ill of the brothers. No one can ever said that we warned against the brothers. No one can ever say that we say don't take knowledge from those particular brothers. No one can ever say that we did what else? No one else can ever say that we boycotted the brothers or we told others to boycott it. We have none of that. We didn't have called them names, obscene names, or anything. We decided to use the names because at the time we was getting reports and seeing things that were made from the lay persons saying this person's an innovator, speaking about Tahir in a despicable manner, saying this about so-and-so, and saying this about this particular masjid or this particular people without any regards or any restrictions. So we felt that the brothers that they were saying that they was getting this from, like Somali, like Spubs, like Abu Khadija, and they were saying they was getting this stuff from these people, we said, okay, let's advise them openly and say, okay, help us stop this fanaticism. People saying they're going to jump in front of a bullet for Hassan Somali. Let's stop that. People calling the Abu Khadija the best of the Salafiyin. People saying that if you speak ill of them, we're going to hunt you down. People saying that, he's the Alama, the reviver, the Minhaj al-Salaf. Whoa! Let's go and stop this fanaticism that we're seeing going on. So now we got to address you guys. Help us. Come aid us and eradicate that. This is why we felt the need to mention it. Also, another reason why we started these videos in the first place is to alert and wake up the common folk. So a part of us doing this social media, some people, they like to claim that we're using kuffar tactics, disbeliever tactics. We're doing a show or something like that in our videos. It's permissible in giving advice in this manner. As you're going to see the rest of his kalam. He said, إِذَا رَأَى أَنَّهَا سِرًّا he said, أَنْفَعَ نَصَحَ سِرًّا إِذَا رَأَى أَنَّهَا فِي إِعْلَانٍ أَنْفَعَ فَعَلٍ. Right? He said, if the person giving advice, he see or consider that giving that advice in private is more better or more beneficial, then he should give his advice in private, right? And then he said, if he see that giving advice in open or in public is more better or more beneficial, then he should proceed to give it in public. And since we have a two double-edged sword of giving advice to our brothers and also mentioning some of the errors that we believe that our brothers have felt in, which we understand from the Salaf that advice, nasiha laysa naqdan. Nasiha is not considered to be criticism. As you heard in the beginning of the talk, there was a brother from New Zealand mentioned how the fact that he was saying about us that he got from our videos, that he liked, one thing he liked about us.
We don't try to bury the brothers.
That we were not trying to bury the brothers. We're not trying to speak ill of the brothers. We're actually giving the advice. Next he goes on, he said, لكن إذا كان ذنب سر لا تكون نصيحة إلا سر. So the Sheikh, he mentioned something which is from the principle of our deen, is that when it comes to sins that are done in private, and when you want to advise a person that committed a sin in private, you do not advise that person in public about that particular sins. And if you know from our videos, we have not spoken about the sins or the allegations or accusations that have been levied against our brothers.
No.
We have not spread any of those things.
Nope.
Nor do we believe in doing it.
And we advise people to stop doing it.
And we advise people to stop doing it, whether it be in public forums, whether it be on social media, whether it be in speaking out in open. We advise brothers from stop doing that. So we have not taken that tactic. Also, the Sheikh, he continued. He said, إِذَا كَانَ يَعْلَمُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ ذَنْبٍ سِرٌ يَنْصَحُ سِرٌ لَا يَفْضَحُهُ. He said, so if you see that your brother have committed a sin in private, then you advise your brother in private and you do not belittle him. You do not humiliate him. He said that advice should take place between you and him. He said, أَمَّا إِذَا كَانَ ذَنْبًا مُعْلِنًا يَرَاهُ النَّاسِ مَثَلًا فِي الْمَجْلِسِ قَامًا واحد بشرب خمر ينكر عليه أو قام واحد يدعو إلى شرب خمر وهو حاضر أو إلى ربا يقول يا أخي لا يجوز هذا. So he said, if the opposite happened, whereas the person commits a sin in public, right, and he does this in front of the people, for example, in one sitting, and he stands up, he's drinking khamr or taking intoxicant or anything that's considered intoxicant, right, and you actually reject him for doing this particular thing. Or, for example, he stands up and he calls the people to this intoxicant. And he invites the people into this intoxicant while you are present, all right? Or he calls to the likes of interest or indulging in usury. Then you can say to this particular brother in public, oh, brother, this is not permissible. As for the sin, تعلم أكيك تعلم أنك أخاك يشرب خمر أو تعلم أنه يتعاطى الربا تنصح بينك وبين سر. He said, if news reach you of your brother falling into any of these sins, intoxicants, anything like that, and you weren't present, and you don't know if it was done in public, then you should advise him in private.
There you go.
Then you should advise him in private.
So these things that we're saying is that with our brothers, sometimes they get on the minbar, and may Allah preserve all of them, and they refute people on the minbar, and they say don't go to this masjid because it's ahlul bid'ah and stuff like this. Stuff is done in public. So we can advise it in public. We can say it's wrong publicly because these are public. They have videos and lectures and talks where they come out and mention people's names, but in harsh ways and attacking the honor of the people. These things are done in public. It's recorded. It's heard. It's seen. So it's okay for us to reply back to it in public. We haven't attacked those brothers. In fact, we tell people if you don't live in this neighborhood and you live in Germantown, go benefit. We don't never say don't take from those brothers. We never say don't take from them. We never call them deviants. We never make tabdir. We never make tafsir. We never call them criminals openly. We never call them mubtadi'een. We never do any of that. In fact, when people who live there, they say, well, go to the classes there. What are you coming all the way down here for? You live in Germantown. We never call away from the brother. But the opposite is done to us. The opposite is done to us. So the reality is that what's being done publicly from this extremism, and it's a form of haddadiyya. We're not saying the brothers are haddad. We're saying it's a form of haddadiyya. Everybody's off it but you. It's a form of hizbiyah. Everybody's off it but you. You can't go anywhere but there. That's wrong. And it's being done publicly. And the fact that it's being done publicly, the commoners are taking it, and they're taking these principles that they're getting from our brothers, and they're taking it around the city. And and the effect is public. So why can't we advise it publicly?
And then it's based upon, as the Sheikh said again, it's based upon our discretion.
Exactly.
The discretion of the person giving advice. So if we deem that it's going to be beneficial doing it publicly because they use in public stances and public places like the minbar, which Sheikh Falah, when he came here, he said that the minbar is not used for that type of platform. And he actually gave the ahkam, the rulings, when we advise people from Ahl Sunnah who fell into an error or a mistake. However, our brothers have still used that platform, like recently, and you all might have heard of it, and the link is up there, where our brother Hamza, may Allah preserve him, Abdul Razak, he went so far to say about Tahir Wahid and Shadeed Muhammad that their fitna is greater than drinking alcohol or having a girlfriend. And no one preceded him in this type of talk. So some people say, okay, brothers, I hear your talk, but it seems as if you guys are guilty of the same thing you're accusing those guys of. Okay, let's address this issue right now to clarify this. One, those guys in question that you keep talking about, Espub, Abu Khadija, Hassan Somali, and Hamza Dorazak, and the likes of these brothers, they have, over the years, they have mentioned people name by name. And they have said, don't deal with so-and-so because he's Ikhwani. Don't deal with so-and-so because he moved in that methodology. He gives dawah at this place. He does this. And they have mentioned this. So we ask, in the agreement that these brothers signed, that y'all seen that we dealt with and translated, inshallah, from Sheikh Muhammad al-Hadi, that agreement, you ask yourself, we have not passed any fatwas.
Nope.
Any verdicts.
Or any masjids, or any person.
Nor have we what?
Boycotted.
We have not boycotted anyone.
Nope.
We have not made hajr of anyone.
In fact, we call them to work with us.
Right? Nor have we jumped into the affair of Jahr wa Ta'dir.
Nope.
We have not done that.
We're not put that. Show me we put tabdir on anybody.
Right? Nor have we made it binding on any positions that we take from any scholars of their independent research or evidence that they have of ijtihadiyya. We did not make it binding and say, you know what? We agree with Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas, who said this about Abu Khadija. We agree with his stance. We agree with the evidence that he presented. And we take his side. We don't make it binding on anyone else to take that and say, listen, unless you agree with us on this position, we're not going to work with you.
No.
That's not how the brothers work. The brothers is, okay, if you deal with them or associate with Tahir Wahid, Sheikh Tahir Wahid that is, or with Muhammad Munir, or with the likes of Ali Davis, if you deal with those brothers, then here come the catch-22. They say, okay, if you deal with them, then that means you're with them. Where you get this concept from? We don't have to boycott them because you don't agree with them on some issues.
We all can still work together.
Or if certain scholars mention certain things about particular individuals, that don't make it binding us to take that position. Because if so, then that means how come you don't have to do it with Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas or Sheikh Salih Suhaimi?
And this is funny, right? To add on to that, when people say, mentioning names, there are scholars who mention these guys' names on the internet publicly, call them ignorant, call them liars, said don't take from. We're not saying any of those harsh words. Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas, Sheikh Suhaimi, and other early men have spoke harshly about Spubs, harshly about Abu Khadija. And we haven't even...
Actually, they said don't take from
Don't take from them. No knowledge from at all. Wasil al-Abbas said that they did a conference in America. He said don't go there if they're going to be there. So what I'm saying is that we're not even saying that. So we haven't even went that far with it. But all we're saying is that if you have a scholars, not one scholar saying this about a particular individual, and you decide not to take that refutation, then how now you want to make it binding upon me to take the refutation of Sheikh Rabi'a or anybody else or any scholar you say refuted somebody? Because now, according to the principle you're using, you're disrespecting Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas. You're disrespecting other scholars who refuted Abu Khadija. You say, I'm not going to go with that. If you got that right to take that refutation, I got the right not to take one.
Exactly. And it shouldn't be double standards, nor should it be the point if we do take, nor should it be like this, okay, we're going to refute the students when they do actions that the scholars does, but we're not going to say nothing about the scholars that do those actions. That's a good point. You know what I mean? We can't do that neither. That's double standards. So we're saying that our brothers, because we are a part of this community, we're saying that our brothers, and may Allah preserve them, the way that they have been going for the last 20 years, and as you see their reports and their evidence, the way that they have been moving, things they have been doing against the own agreement that they signed, that these things need to be called up. These things they need to be advised on. These things, we see the oppression. communities have been oppressed.
Yeah.
Right?
People fighting physically.
People fighting.
Marriages.
Families have been separated.
None.
People have been, their honor has been tarnished. Names and stuff like this have been called. People have said things about people. Imagine how Tahir White, and we don't even know Tahir Wyatt personally in terms of his wife and his family, but imagine how she might feel that her husband's name is being dragged through the mud in such a way. Imagine how any of the brothers' family might feel because their sons, their daughters, because of their father who have went overseas and studied, and inshallah ta'ala who are in good graces with the scholars and so forth like that. Imagine how they feel. Just think of the repercussion of that. And imagine how lay people are running around who don't know the principles or the qawaid of Ahlul Sunnah in terms of bid'ah or taking a person outside of the fold of Salafiyah or Ahlul Sunnah for that matter. Imagine how they feel.
I mean, imagine how
the repercussion.
I remember one time. I mean, look. Let's just make it more personal for me and the brother. It was a brother who came down by the masjid. And this is a layman, person who can't even read out of bad tat. He put a hukum on this masjid. He came, seen the name, and he said, how can they name this masjid Ibn Taymiyyah when they're deviants? He put a hukum on us. And where's he getting this from? Because the brothers, our brothers, may Allah preserve them. They have made this environment where the commoner feels okay to make these type of rulings. We have brothers who won't pray behind us. They took the ruling, they put a hukum on us. And the agreement says you can't do that. That students can't do that. Dais can't do that. But the commoner is actually putting hukum and rulings on this masjid and on me and Abu Zayd that we're not to be prayed behind, that our masjid is a masjid of bid'ah. Where do they get these principles from?
And we as people have to be honest. We have to stop saying to ourselves, no, we love the brothers, we preserve the brothers, and not call them up on what we see. And we can't keep saying it's a split amongst the students. It's not a split amongst the students.
It's one group of people.
It's one group of people who are saying we're not working with nobody unless they agree with us 100%.
Sheikh Mukbil said,
and we have to be honest. It's a group of people who are not willing to work with anybody. We heard an individual who's not from us, right? And in terms of meaning, America is not his nationality. Mm-hmm. We're not going to mention this name, but this brother made a point. And this point is, to hear from outside of us say this, you have to hear how he said it. He said, I never came across a group of people who doesn't want more people to be with them. He said, the Sufis, they always want you to be a part of them, right? Mm-hmm. The Shiites, they will want you, come on, brother, come on, sister. There are other people that say, the Christians, anybody will say, come on, you're welcome, right? Because they want more followers. They want people to be a part of that which they are. He said, I never met a group who are the opposite. That say, no, stay where you at. No, we don't want to work with you. No, you are upon this. I never met that. And if you really look at what's going on with the brothers don't want to work with no one. They don't accept no public retractions. They don't accept no public talk unless you do what they say. And it's proof that these brothers have written bayans for Masjid Rahmat. A whole bayan has been written for these people.
And it was a lie.
The administration, that this is what you're going to do. These are the people you're going to remove yourself from. These are the people you're going to do. This stuff can't go on just no one saying nothing about it. And then they're saying, okay, these videos that we're making are causing a rift in the community. No, it's not. We're just a reaction to what already happened. It already been a chaos. So we're just a reaction to that. Mm-hmm. And all we're doing is doing what the elders should have been done. Because there's a piece of statement that Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd he brought, and I wanted to actually bring the actual Arabic words, but I think the meaning should be sufficient enough, inshallah. You can refer back to in the book called Hilat Talib al-Ilm, the etiquettes of the student, the etiquettes of the student of knowledge. And he brings in there a piece of poetry. He said, have the people of knowledge really honored knowledge, then knowledge will preserve them. And I mention this because this falls under not just the scholars, but under the people who take the mantle of calling to the dawah, like ourselves or the brothers, the noble brothers, and may Allah preserve them. Any of this situation, have we really respected knowledge? Have we really respected knowledge the way that we're supposed to? And we actually understand that we have a manner with it. Everything that we learned was implemented. Then we would be behaving and acting in a certain way. Mm-hmm. It would not be this way. It would have never been out on the streets. They would have resolved this issue behind closed doors. The students would have dealt with each other behind closed doors. They would not made it a big rift and made people choose to deal with this person or deal with that person. The fact that our elders have not stood up, like Abu Uwais rahimahullah, who stood up. The fact that our elders have not said nothing. Now they leave it to the likes of us to come along and say something now. And now that we're saying something, it's like, oh, y'all guys, I wouldn't do it that way. I think you should do it this way. No, you had your chance. And you had your moment. That you allowed this to get out of control. Where the lay person does not respect the people of knowledge or anyone who carries it.
No.
Now, what do you do in that case? When someone can walk up in any masjid and say, you know what, yeah, they're upon bid'ah. And you say, okay, brother, what's the bid'ah exactly? What did they fall into? What is the actual bid'ah? He doesn't know. All he's going to say is, they don't work with the noble brothers. And that's bid'ah? Oh, they don't, the noble brothers don't endorse them. Okay, that's bid'ah? The noble brothers don't speak highly of them. That's bid'ah? Come on, Aki. This is, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's right there should be making anyone feel the same way we feel.
And all we've been saying is that, to our brothers, may Allah preserve them, is that it's upon you to deal with your community and stop these people from doing it. To get on the minbar and say, no, you can't do that. In your classes, no, you can't do that. No, you cannot put rulers on the masjid. No, you can't call your brothers out of their name. No, you can't slander your brother's honor. No, you can't call your brother a deviant. That's it. We have to be noble and honorable to one another. And the fact of the matter that you think that our advice is refutations, that's your issue. But the Sheikh is making it clear. It's not. Nasiha is not refutations. Nasiha is not refutation. We just always saying is we have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're calling the brothers to unite. Leave this foolishness.
And that is correct. They have an individual who spoke on the minbar, and I heard his khutbah, I told you roughly coming from out of Ramadan, who is a lay person. Actually, in terms, most of us are lay persons, even though we, if we look at the Salaf and they say what about a student and the difference between a student and a scholar, then we will all consider ourselves lay person actually. But anyway, this brother stood on the minbar and he made clear statements of people upon Ahlul Bidah. He said that you go up Cotman Ave, they're upon Ahlul Bidah. And I'm like, whoa, he's on the minbar saying these statements in Germantown Masjid. He is making these types of statements. It's recorded. You can actually hear him making this statement. And then, secondly, he's not even from us, and then he's not even a person of knowledge that he's making this type of statement of that, a blanket everyone upon Tabdir. And then they come along and they say, well, who is the guy, who is these brothers' teachers? Why are they speaking this way? So those that don't know, and I advise the brother sometimes not to toot his own horn and things like that. And the brother here been overseas for the last 8 years under a foot of scholar.
Sheikh Mahmoud Mufti Amr is my teacher.
For those who don't know about Sheikh Mahmoud Mufti Amr, what does he do over there in Egypt?
Sheikh Mahmoud Mufti Amr, he's a student of Sheikh Rabi', and other than that,
for how long?
For like over 20 years.
Over 20 years studying under Sheikh Rabi'. What else do we do?
The Sheikh has written books against the Ikhwan,
written books
against the Khawarij, against the Sufi. There's not a person of innovation in that country that's safe from him. Sheikh Muhammad al-Madkhali said he's a rocket upon Ahlul Bid'ah. Sheikh Zayd al-Madkhali said the same thing. Sheikh Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says Sahib al-Sunnah. So I'm saying is that
it's amazing.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I have a teacher that I finished books with.
What did the Sheikh say in terms of what we're doing right now?
The Sheikh, he said the question was asked to him. I mentioned to him what's going on in our city, right? And the Sheikh, he said, we know this is happening all over the world. This is happening all over the world. And he has advice, and we're going to translate some of his advice that he gave to the youth and to some of the scholars as well. And we'll get to that. Not in this talk, but we will. The Sheikh said, look, as long as you don't do tabdir, you don't call them innovators, you don't call them tafsiq, you don't speak about the people's sins and call them sinners, you don't label them a certain thing, you don't slander the brothers. As far as saying their names out in the open and stuff, the Sheikh said that goes back to the ijtihad. If you see that it's a benefit not to say their names, then don't say it. If you have to say their names, and you see a benefit of that, just stick to the conditions that I just gave you. Don't make tafsiq, don't make tabdir, don't attack their honor, don't refute them. Don't speak about them in ill manners. This was the advice that he gave. And I'm going to ask him again so he can record it, so I can record it next time. Then I'm going to play the recording and I'm going to translate it. For those who say, where did he say that at?
But listen to this, though. Do you hear that? We just read Sheikh bin Baz words. That's not the same? When you can make a discretion? Mm-hmm. What did he say? He said, you amilu bima huwa aslah. You work with what's more suitable. So at the end of the day, we felt the need. No, we have to mention names. When you got a person saying that Abu Khadija Abdul Wahid is the alama, the revolver of the Minhaj al-Salaf, you don't have to say a name. When you got a person saying that he's the person who does what? He's the person who's defender of the Sunnah. That's the title that was given to Ibn Ahmed. That's the title that's given to scholars who took stances. That's not the title of a person. When you got Anwar Wright on a tweet posting a tweet saying whoever don't have love, or whoever doesn't have love for Amjad Rafiq or Abu Khadija and Abu Hassan Malik and Hassan Somoli, then know that this person is not a person of the Sunnah.
SubhanAllah.
This type of statement you read in Mountains of Knowledge. You read in books like that of Siyar, Nu'allah. You read this about other scholars of worthy of notice status saying it about themselves. Yes, they actually said this, brother. This stuff is actually recorded. These brothers have made these type of statements. And you saying, okay, at what point? The scholars, most of them don't speak English. So they're not going to see a lot of this stuff in English on tweets. So who else going to be left to deal with the problem? If the peers amongst themselves ain't going to sit up there and say, you know what, I'm going to stop these guys. The elders not going to stop them. The peers amongst them not going to stop them. Then they're going to have to be somebody saying, listen, y'all can't do that. No, you can't. That's not right. And alhamdulillah, the fact that, this brother has an actual teacher when majority of them don't have an actual teacher. The majority of them been around a time period when some people were alive. And it's not taking no status away from them. It's not taking anything away from these brothers. Alhamdulillah, because we need all of the help we can have here in the West. We know that. But at the same time, don't use that. Because there's another principle that they use, and inshallah ta'ala, another talk, we're going to talk about that principle that has been adopted, that if you're not endorsed by a scholar, knowledge cannot be taken from you. This is a big misconception, and is also is a deception too. It can be a deception because that's not the case.
Well, Sheikh Obey, if you're going to use that principle, then I have a teacher. For those y'all who don't, those brothers who don't have one amongst them, then you shouldn't be talking according to your principle.
Allah.
Right? You shouldn't be talking according to your principle.
Brother said, I saw the post one day that said, if your Salafiyya is not like the UK's, then you're not on it.
That's what I'm saying. So look at these type of extreme statements. So the thing is that if you say endorsed by a scholar, Sheikh Obey was asked this question. We're going to keep repeating it. Sheikh Obey, because this is one of the scholars they take from. And so do we. Sheikh Obey was asked if we have somebody in our town that's teaching, and then we don't hear any praise for him or any dispraise for him, right? Can we take from him? The Sheikh said, is he from the Muslims? Is he from the Muslims? So we automatically give the Muslims the Hassan al-Bann. So it was clear the brother was from the Muslims. Then he asked, if you hear him say, call Allah, call Rasulullah, and he's sticking to the understanding of the Salaf, and he's teaching the books of the scholars and the explanations, and he's sticking to that, he said, La bes.
Why there's no problem?
There's no problem.
When people saying go back to the Kibar, they keep saying how would the Kibar handle the situation? If the Kibar works are already there and they already dealt with people with the similar traits and similar characteristics, then we're going to use those similar traits and characteristics and explain their words. Yeah. It's no we're not applying no ruling or twisting it to fix this. You have to look at what it is. Yeah. If this is the characteristics of this, then we want to rise our brothers. Look, the ulama said don't do this. Right? The ulama said don't do that. And mostly in all of our videos, we always bring an ayat, hadith, and we bring the explanation of the ulama. No. And mostly all of our videos.
And we make dua for the brothers.
And we make dua for the brothers. So at the end of the day, it's just like, it's amazing that people are saying, you guys are preceding the scholars. We have not preceded the scholars. There are scholars who spoke directly about this fitna. There are scholars who spoke directly about them, using their names.
And said harsh words against them.
There are agreements that these guys have signed. They have actually put their John Hancock on, and they have not stuck to that agreement. Yeah. We are more so sticking to that agreement than they are. Yeah. And that the fact that we are dealing with this issue because we feel as though we have gira, inshallah, for the deen of Islam, and we feel as though we're here and that we want this stuff to stop. And the only way that we believe that it's going to stop, we seen brothers try the method. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till I get to, and think about this. This is how ironic it is. The scholar that the people rally around, many of us don't even know who he is. Sheikh Rabi'a. Many of us don't know him, honestly. We know it through the brothers. Hafidhullah. The scholars that they rally around, they actually waited till they got an audience with the scholar, Sheikh Rabi'a himself. And they try to hash out the differences that they have right there at that meeting. When they got back to ground, what happened? The same stuff that Ben was having.
It's still happening.
As a riff. So they didn't even listen to the words of Sheikh Rabi'a. So I ask you right now, if they didn't take the words of Sheikh Rabi'a, who they force you to take his positions, right? Mm-hmm. What makes you think you telling me to go back to the Kibar are going to be the same thing?
And Sheikh Rabi'a still advised him. His son had the advice of the Salafis in the West and other advice that Sheikh Rabi'a has given. Nobody's taking it. Nobody's
listening. Does that make sense to go now? Yeah, do the same method I did that it took you 3 years to do. Do the same method I did, and these guys are not stopping. No, you're going to have to now do it yourself. You're not going to tell all them change the condition of people. Tell you what. They changed their own conditions. You're going to have to say something now. You're going to have to pull these guys. Listen, you can't do that. This is this. What's the evidence you're doing this? You're going to have to bring them up. And until that happens, they're not going to stop.
No.
So we're not going to stop. Brothers ask us, what is your objective? What do y'all get the aim from this?
Yeah.
Some people accuse us of wanting fame because of these videos. Some people accuse us, as if they can see our intentions. Some people accuse us of wanting, wanting status or just wanting to be little. As our brother said in his class last night, he said it seems as if they do nothing but the fame, nothing but the Salafis. They don't talk about no other groups. And if you look at the tape, the videos that we do on Tawheed and Aqeedah and stuff like that, we always talk about this. The khutbahs that we do, and whether we're talking about the Ahmadiyya, whether we're talking about the Christians, all of that stuff is, we don't pay attention to that. But bottom line, we're not just attacking the Salafis. Stop taking every little criticism, which we can do, or every piece of advice to be an attack of the Salafis. And who say you, yourself, or your group is the Salafi?
Is the Salafi.
For everyone, no.
Who said you can't be approached, you can't be criticized?
No, the Prophet ﷺ said what? He said ad-dinu nasiha. And he gave 5 groups of people who the deen should be, who nasiha should be given to.
Yep.
What did the companions used to do? Abi Darda and Salman, he used to go to his house, knock on his door, just to give him a piece of advice. What did Umar Abdul Aziz used to do? He used to write to each other. The Salaf used to write to each other a piece of advice. Golden words. What did Abdullah Mas'ud give to his son? What did Luqman give to his son? Advice.
Yep. Advice.
Advice is something from all of us. We're not attacking. We're not attacking everyone like they're doing. They're telling you that Tahir Wyatt is the greatest fitna that ever happened. Come on, like seriously.
I thought it was shirk and lazumun azim.
That's what I thought it was too.
The shirk is the greatest of oppressions, the greatest
right?
fitna.
They're telling you that Muhammad Munir, who's in New York, not worrying about them, they following his every video, is on Hadith Disciple. Whenever he make a statement, they're like to see he made this, or if he's a part of a fly, see he did this. Why are you following a man that closely? If you get what I'm saying? You're acting as if his fitna is the greatest fitna. Instead of busying the people and dealing with that in your locale, the stuff that you have. Many of us got to be honest. We still have communities full of ex-convicts. It don't mean that you can't change, but we still got people, dipping back in the alley, still slinging.
I mean, this is the crazy part, right? Before we go on to the next statement of the Sheikh bin Baz, the crazy part is these guys, they have the Muslims walking past each other with hatred in their heart for their brother. But those same people who are learning in those masjids that they claim the only Salafi masjids walk past churches and feel no anger towards a church.
Not at all.
They feel nothing. They walk past the church, nothing. But they walk past you, they won't give you the salam, and they hate you, and you see it in their face. But they don't show that same hate and anger towards those who say Allah has a son.
Not at all.
This is insanity.
Actually, they will work with them. They will work with the Christians. They will even make an excuse for the kafir. They want to make an excuse for you and I. They'll make an excuse for the kafir, though. Let's give him a pamphlet. Let's teach him about terrorism. Let's do this, let's do that. Right? No, come on, Aki. They're not doing that. And to be honest with you, I don't believe that we are calling to ourselves. For those who think we are calling to ourselves or we're being arrogant and we're not being humble, I just challenge you to produce a proof. Advice don't mean we're calling to ourselves. We never once called people to come down here just to benefit from us. Never.
We never do.
Since I've been at this masjid, since the brother came, he never ever heard me tell people, come only to me.
In fact, nobody knows that. We don't even tell people the schedule of our classes. If you live in the neighborhood, that those who live in the neighborhood, we tell them the schedule because they in the masjid, they live in the neighborhood. But we never say on our videos, come to this class at this time or the class at this time. In fact, we tell people the masjid in your neighborhood has the right over you, not this masjid.
And the problem is the people that see in these videos, and not just here in Philly, not just here in New York, not just here in the West. It's people overseas in the UK who have been pressed for years. They watch these videos and they see the truth of it. It's just clear. Like, these brothers are trying to, unite the Salafis. Where you get this part, you're not trying to unite the Salafis. Don't give me this fake Ikhwani principle. Yeah, let's just put our difference aside and then, we're going to agree on everything. No, ain't no uniting. It's already clear. All of us have the same, inshallah, to claim the same Aqidah. You're not going to unite upon Batil. No, you're not going to say you can be Sufi and we still can unite. No, you can be Shiite and you still can. No, we're not talking that nonsense. We're saying if you saying you believe in the same Aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wa Jama'ah from the Salaf and we do, then what's the difference? Yeah. If you believe in the same minhaj, you take from the same explanations, then what is the difference? That's what we're talking about, uniting with that. Not uniting in terms of, uniting with people who real upon deviancy. No. I don't get that. So for people who saying that we need to humble ourselves, I understand that you got a lot of love for the brothers. So do we do. But we're not going to stand aside and allow people to do what they're just doing. I know that people got a lot of love for him. It's like, okay, it's a riff. You don't want to hear people speaking ill of the people that you take knowledge from. We're not speaking ill of them. We're actually asking these brothers, yo, help us fight this stuff. Let's wake the common people up. Really start teaching them the usul of Ahlul Sunnah.
What is a bid'ah? What's the sulul fiqh? What's the hadith? What is sunnah? All these sciences, we need to start making sure our people have basic understanding of them instead of them walking around saying what masjid they can't pray in. And what person is an innovator? You telling me that's benefiting them spiritually? Our people need to know that? Subhanallah.
No, alhamdulillah. So the brother going to read the next part of the statement of Sheikh bin Baz.
And the Sheikh, he goes on, وسئل رحمه الله أيضا مجموع فتاوى علامة عبد العزيز بن باز رحمه الله التعاون بالجهر أفضل أم بالسر. And he was asked, the answer was التعاون يكون بالسر ويكون بالجهر وأصل أنه بالجهر حتى يعلم السامع ما يقال ويستفيد. And he says that ta'awun, aiding or assisting or advising someone, it can be done in secret, in private, and it can be done openly. He said, and the foundation is that it's done openly until the person who's listening understands and benefits. And this could be, this goes back to what? The person's discretion. The person's discretion. فَتَعَاوُنْ وَإِرْشَادْ نَسِيحَةَ جَهْرِيَّةَ لِلْمُجْتَمَعِ هَذَا هُوَ أَصْلٌ. He said because ta'awun and guidance, assisting and aiding, also advising and guiding people to what's correct, the advice that's done openly, it actually is a benefit for the society. I'll give you an open example. Since we started doing these videos, how many people have benefited from these videos as far as learning exactly what principles are and learning what's really going on and really open their eyes up and say, you know what, I got to start learning. How many people from these videos think that we're attacking the brothers or that now you want to go attack the brothers? Who's getting that from our videos? So the reality is that we see it in ourselves, going with Sheikh bin Baz's position, that let's speak out openly. Let's go out and say something openly. And people are benefiting across the globe. People are saying, you're absolutely right. We have to get better. More people have gotten better and started to change the way they felt and come together, then we see the separation. We see them with our own eyes.
And if we don't say nothing, what you think going to happen? Another 20 years of this?
No, 20 years of this going to go by? Of this madness? No, we're not going to stand for it. He says, إلا إذا اقتضت مصلحة شرعية عدم الجهل خوفا من الشر من بعض الناس لأنه لو نصح أو وجهه جهرا قد لا يقبل وقد يكبر فالنصيحة سرا مطلوبة حينئذ. Sheikh makes a good point. He said, if the one giving advice, right, and he's using the legislation to give advice, right, and he doesn't want to do it openly because he fears that doing openly may cause more evil to happen from certain people. Maybe he'll get beat up, maybe he'll get hurt, or maybe he look at the situation, he says to himself, okay, if I say this openly, it's going to cause people to want to hurt this brother, to want to put their hands on this brother, or do something physical to this sister. Then at that point, you don't say anything openly because it may cause bloodshed or murder or chaos to happen. You got to look at yourself and say, okay, this is not going to be the best course of action.
And yes, this does take a piece of knowledge. We're not saying that. The person who's a Nasir, normally he should have some knowledge when he advises people. This does take a piece of knowledge. So I understand that part. We're not saying that you shouldn't have no knowledge when to weigh this because you got to be able to weigh between the harm, weighing the benefit. You have to weigh between commanding the good, forbidding the evil. We know this. And some people, they use the argument, well, you guys are not qualified. You said so yourself not to speak about these issues. What issues are we speaking about, Ikhwan? What issues are we speaking about? Because we have not delved in any usul.
No.
We have not opened up any sciences and just start talking about them randomly. We have been using the statements of the ulama as a platform to help us understand and address some of the issues that we already, all of us are witnesses to, and all of us have either been on the receiving end of it. We have not done that. And for the brothers to say that, it reminds me of the man who came running from the farthest part of the town in Surah Yasin, when he tried to advise the people to listen to their messengers. He just came running from the farthest part of the town. And he said, oh, my people, listen to your messenger. It doesn't mention that this particular man that came running from the far part of the town was a person of knowledge. It doesn't mention that this person was, skilled and he was a person, a scholar. No, he came out. He saw that the people wasn't taking the message that the messengers was coming with. He came running from the farthest part of the town to make sure the people understand what's happening. What's wrong with us seeing it right here in front of our faces that our beloved brothers have put themselves in a bubble and they don't want to work with nobody. They don't want to hear nothing. All they want to say is that these shuyukh said this. These are the principles that we're working with, and this how it's going to go.
Yes, you know what else you benefit from that story? The man, he said he came from the Aqsa Medina. Yes, that he came from the farthest part of the city, what? Striving to give advice or striving to advise the people that he was coming to. It goes to show you that manhood is not known by you being a male. Manhood is known by your position with the truth. Manhood is known by your position with the truth. For all you brothers who remain quiet all these years, what is your position with the truth? Because this ayah says, this man was known to be a man because his position was the truth. He wasn't afraid of the blamers. He wasn't afraid of anything. He came and gave the nasiha no matter what was going to be, no what was going to be said about him. Manhood is not known by you being a male. Manhood is known by your position with the truth. And are you going to stand up for the truth for your women and your children? Because we keep letting this go on, our women and children have no future. They have a future of chaos and calamities and nonsense. Subhanallah. And the Shaykh goes on. And he says, as far as the one giving advice, I'm a wajjah or murshid, he said, as far as the one giving advice, yataharra ma huwa aslah, that he investigates what is the best course of action in this particular situation. It goes back to the person. Don't tell me, you tell me that I can't say these brothers' names openly. That's not what the scholar's saying. Even if you got Sheikh Rabi'a saying the Salafis shouldn't say each other's names on videos and things like that.
And he's talking about dispersion.
He's talking about dispersion.
Let's be honest with you. He's talking about attacking
him. And
we have not attacked the brothers.
No.
We have not attacked the brothers, not once alone.
So we agree with Sheikh Rabi'a. If you're going to make a video slandering the brothers, attacking their honor, no, then we don't do that. And anybody who does that, we're going to advise them too. This is not from our way. But to give nasiha and to bring out mistakes and points that's destroying our community and tell our brothers, listen, maybe you don't know what you're doing is a mistake. Maybe you don't know that it's causing this much problems. But this is what's happening by you being this way. This is what it's causing in the streets. This is what it's causing in the community. Once we let them know, maybe they'll say, oh, you know what? Maybe the brothers is right. I didn't think of it like that. And they'll stop doing it. Because we tried to
bring it home real quick. Everybody that advised the brothers, from S. Pubs, from Abu Khadija, I want you to go back and look at everybody that advised them. Look how they advised them. They have not called them names, not like how they do. They have not, they always said this advice is so-and-so, not like how they do. They have not done any of these things. Just look at their advice. Notice they're not doing the same thing. Our beloved brother Tahir Wyatt, Sheikh Tahir Wyatt, have not said anything derogatory towards those particular brothers.
Nope.
Never. You don't have one statement in public that man said something about those person in particular. Mm-hmm. Regardless, you have to look at this. This is where we have to start using the aql that Allah gave us, our faculties. When you see that the brothers, when they speak about people and they talk about people, you ever see how their responses are? Look at Anwar responses and Jamil Finch responses. I know a lot of us take knowledge from the brothers. I'm not speaking ill of them.
Allah preserve
but preserve them. But look how their responses are. So-and-so is Ikhwani in his path. Look at things we did. We venerated the masjid. Look how the brother Anwar took the statements of Sheikh Tahir and just twist them completely, which can be which can actually be a lie. He said that the man was calling to himself. He was saying detached from Sheikh Rabi'a, from Sheikh Fawzan. If you listen to the speech, you didn't get none of that. I didn't get him saying, don't take from Sheikh Fawzan, don't take from Sheikh Rabi'a, don't take from Sheikh Muhammad bin Hadi. None of them never said that. I mean, he never said, did he say that?
No.
I mean, how did he come back on Twitter and put a post and tweet like that? So listen, if we really want to be honest with ourselves, that right there might be borderline sinister. And if you want to say, let's go back to the scholars, let's tell the scholars what they're doing, let's take that back to the scholars.
No, son of Allah.
When actually, wasn't he censored before? Who censored him? Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul?
No.
In a refutation that he written before, one time he got censored by a scholar that they was taken from. Why? Because we were told not to engage in those affairs, not giving advice. There's no scholar on the face of this earth going to tell you can't give advice. How? He going to go against the words of the Prophet ﷺ? Ad-dinu nasiha?
Subhanallah.
He's going to go against that word. He's going to go against that. He's going to go against Allah Jalla wa Ala telling you to what? Benefit the believers with that which benefit them. We're going to get to the kalam of the Shaykh, but is he going to go to that? No, he ain't going to go. He's not going to tell you that. There's no scholar going to tell you not to talk to your people and you know your people. No scholar going to tell you that. But the problem is, if you see these brothers up there doing that, they're isolated themselves. They are not working with nobody.
Nope.
Notice everybody that wants that you can take from can't take from no more. They don't deal with Ahlul Hadith. Let's stop acting like they do. Let's stop saying, yes, they deal with the brothers from Ahlul Hadith. No, they don't. Stop saying, yeah, I heard the brother say, go down there and benefit from Hadith. If that's the same with them doing ta'awun, if I tell you, yeah, you can go down there and benefit from them, but I'm not going to go down there. You don't see me in their lectures. You don't see me dealing with them. You don't see me engaging with them. Is that the same?
No,
that's not the
classes
same.
At
That's not the same. If you see the brothers, in the way that they did our elder Dawah Deep, man, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him.
I mean.
But the way that they did that, and in terms of, people not speaking, well, look at this, you can't take from them, you can't do this. That's just pure.
But look how they disrespect our elder Tawfiq Abu Zaynab. I mean, they don't give him the salam. They treat him like he's a major sinner, like he's a mubtadi'. He get a salam. They don't give him credit for building Bin Baz, for doing what he did there. I mean, look how they disrespected the elder, and he's still being honorable with them.
And so where's our gira? We keep saying we've been in Salafiyah this long. We've been in Salafiyah this long. So where's the Salafis at saying, you know what? Let's stop this stuff. Let's stop this, this tarnishing. Where's our gira at? You get what I'm saying? If we Salafis like we're saying we are, then we need to be standing up against those who are causing the chaos and stop saying that they are the opposers because they're speaking out against it. SubhanAllah al-Azim.
SubhanAllah. And the Sheikh, he goes on and he says that he said if the dawah that a person is given, the nasiha and the call is aiding upon good and it openly, meaning him calling openly, is some good that's coming from it, and the benefit is seen and known, he said, for the people that's present, he said, then the person does that. That's what he do. If he sees that the benefit تقتضي أن يكون تناسح في حالة السر فعل ذلك. If he sees that the benefit is to advise people in private and in secret, then he does that. لأن مقصود حصول الخير والنفع للمنصوح للمجتمع. He said because the whole point is that the one being advised in the society, that the good reaches them. His whole point, any way that the good can reach the society and the person that he's advising, that's the way he does it. So the whole issue is this. Our advice and what we're trying to do, is it just for the brothers? No. Or is it for everybody?
It's for everybody.
So we had to make the decision. So how do we make everybody benefit? So we took a middle road saying, we're going to say our brothers' names, but we're not going to slander them. We're not going to call them out their name. We're not going to try to destroy them. But at the same time, our common folk have to be advised, have to be seen. What's going on doesn't benefit them, and it's destroying them. It's been going on for 2 decades. And I'm going to say again, I'm going to keep saying this, and it's not taking it back before Islam. For all you people from Philadelphia that grew up here, we all grew up in an era when we were all in the streets, the 80s and the 90s, for those who are that old. When the Jamaicans came here, we chased them out of here. When the Bloods and Crips tried to come in here in the 90s, we chased them out of here. Everybody tried to come into our city to take it from us, and before Islam, we stood up for that evil and that sin, and we chased people out of here. But we allow people who are not from us to come amongst us and split us and speak evil of our people and to separate us and to make us fight one another. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you, brothers from Philadelphia that wouldn't study and allowing outsiders to come make you hate your own people. Shame on you. You should be ashamed of yourself. Wallahi, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because when before Islam, we stood up for disbelief. We stood up for sins. We stood up for selling drugs. We stood up for our block. We stood up for a city that we don't own. We stood up for it. But in Islam, we won't stand up for our families. We won't stand up for our children. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
And we know deep down inside our hearts, these brothers are doing something wrong.
Yeah.
We know deep down inside our heart, these brothers have put themselves in a bubble. And we ain't saying nothing about it. We ain't saying nothing about it. You can't go to one of the people and say, listen, Aki, won't you help me stop them? Yes, you can aid us by stop calling to that which they're doing. You can aid us by saying, listen, we're only going to take the good from the brothers, but we're not going to agree with all of the stuff they're doing. We're going to learn. Let's begin learning again. Let's begin getting back dealing with each other. Stop acting like you're scared of a boogeyman. That's because you hear the word mufti or Muhammad Munir. Oh, I got to be watch out. I can't be around nobody. You hear Sheikh Tahir. Oh, I got to watch out. I can't be. No, that don't mean that. That don't mean that. I do not break ties with any of the brothers. Our elders, I don't break ties with you. I might don't agree with you on everything, but that don't mean I'm going to break ties with you. I love you for the sake of Islam. I'm going to accept your advice when you give it. If the advice is that, which is, I deem, if I don't agree with you in that particular thing,
No.
I'm not going to speak ill of you.
No.
But don't sit here and say that I am going against the brothers or we're causing disruption and stuff like they're saying we're doing with our videos.
No.
Don't say that. We have ulama that let us know that is at our discretions. Not only his personal teacher, but you hear Sheikh Islam bin Baz. It is at our discretion to mention the names that we are mentioning. And we're not going to stop, brothers and sisters, mentioning these brothers' names. We're not going to stop, brothers and sisters, doing these videos. And we're not going to stop, brothers and sisters, doing these interviews. Introducing us to different students from all over the world. Because it brings unity. And it unites our heart when we see different Salafis from different parts of the world that are willing to work and tell their story and how they study. It excites us. It encourages us. To make us want to do more. So we're not going to stop that. But when we're going to stop going at these brothers is when the brothers say to themselves, we're done. When they say, listen, we're done, we're going to start opening our arms and start working with our brothers. Ta'awan. When is that going to happen?
So, I mean, and just before I read the Sheikh's statement, if anybody try to say it's on some Qawmiyya stuff, don't twist my words. I'm not saying we're just united because we're all from Philadelphia. I'm just making a point that we got to have some jealousy for our people. And that when these guys were not from us, because this is not their country, when they get sent home, because they can be sent home at any time, back to their own lands, you guys from Philadelphia, that was treacherous in your amana and your duties to your people, and you're left here to deal with your people after that, what's going to be your excuse? What are you going to say to your people when you were treacherous to them? What are you going to say to your people when you were treacherous to them, when you turned on them for outsiders? And when those people are gone and not here anymore, they're back in their countries, what are you going to do? You're left here now. Now you got to deal with your people. You got to deal with the anger of your people, the frustration of your people. What are you going to do then? Because it's treachery. Wallahi, it's treachery. So then he says, so فالوصية مؤدية إلى ذلك هي مطلوبة سواء كانت سرية أو جهرية. He says, so basically, no matter what way you use, under your discretion, the whole point of it, what's sought from it, whether it's in secret or openly, is that the people get the benefit and they get the point get across to them, and maybe they can leave off what they're doing and take the advice. He says, وَالنَّاسِحْ وَالدَّاعِي إِلَى اللَّهِ كَالْتَبِيبِ يَتَحَرَّى وَقْتَ الْمُنَاسِبِ وَالْكَمِيَّةِ الْكَيْفِيَّةِ الْمُنَاسِبَةِ. He said a person who advise and a caller has to be like a doctor. He investigates. He looks at, okay, is this the proper time? Is this the proper way? How do I do this? How do that? And that goes what? You got to know your people. You got to know your environment. You got to know your culture. You got to know everything. You have to be a person that's already dealing with the issue already. And you say to yourself, okay, I've been doing it this way for about 2 or 3 years. Okay, let me test you're going to go like this. And now you take it on yourself. You say, okay, then once you make the decision to say outwardly what you're going to do, you go research and you got scholars preceding you in it. Just like you guys, just like our brothers, may Allah preserve them, they always say we got scholars. A scholar said this, scholar said that. Everybody can go research and find scholars that supporting what they're doing. As long as you have a scholar supporting with evidence what you're doing and saying, then why are you mad with me?
And the one way you can tell that you know your people is that you got to be honest. Majority of our people, and we say that we're the minority, majority of our people are on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
So why wouldn't you use the platform? The ulama from amongst them is Sheikh Muhammad ibn Uthaymeen, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, he mentioned in his explanations to Latatul Usul, he said that in terms of da'wah to ilay, the third point, which is obligatory, he said, you supposed to try to give da'wah even if you was at a dinner table. If you was at a dinner table and someone was there and you wanted to invite them to Allah, you wanted to use some type of way, of open conversation to give them da'wah. Da'wah can be done by way of, of writing down stuff. Da'wah can be done by way of writing, he said, kitabah. Da'wah can be done by way of inviting someone. You can give da'wah to your co-worker. You can use any platform that is permissible and legislated in the arena of giving da'wah to give da'wah. So why wouldn't we use the platform of what we're using now, like videos, to contact and deal with our people? Why wouldn't we use those means? What tells us? Sheikh Uthaymeen's wife, she said in an interview when they was asking about her husband in terms of technology, she said that one thing about Sheikh Uthaymeen, he was actually advanced. He was happy when it came to the phone, when they started having the answer machine on the phone. She said the Sheikh was so happy and delighted. He remember when he did his first answer machine. You know what I mean? When he left his first message for the answer machine, right? So where we get this concept that we're not going to use every means possible to teach. If the kuffar is out here doing something and they are taking avenues that they are reaching people by media and so forth, why wouldn't we do the same thing? Henceforth, look at Sheikh Ruhaili. Henceforth, Sheikh Sulaiman Ruhaili, Hafidullah. Look at Sheikh Salih Fawzan. They have a station, Hafidullah. Look at Sheikh Raslan, Hafidullah. These are the means they're using. If you want to say, look at Sheikh Abdurrahman Umaysan. Same while he allowed
They have
himself
a TV station in Basira for the scholars of the Sunnah in Egypt. They use it. It's a TV station.
There you go. Look at Sheikh Mahmoud.
Naam, yeah.
You can go to his YouTube channel. You can see him being on panels, dealing with people, dealing with the issues that's going over there, the Khuruj, the Khawarij. This is the things that we see from the scholars that they're doing. Why is our brothers telling us no? All of these actions are somehow ikhwani or somehow bid'ah. Why is they telling us this? What's the purpose and what's the agenda? No, brother, it's not like that. If you don't agree with Muhammad Munir, okay. But don't make that be a means why you're not going to work with us.
No.
Don't make that be a means why you're going to, disagree and tell other people stay away from them. Akhi, we supposed to be happy whenever we hear of a masjid. A masjid open up. If that masjid wasn't upon dalala and it didn't have no evil intent and it wasn't open up like the Ahmadiyya,
like that.
no graves, no Sufis, then why wouldn't you be happy that Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah going to be called 5 times a day?
Yep.
Ain't that Tawheed?
Yep.
Why are you not going to be happy, especially in the land of Kufar? SubhanAllah.
No. And at the end, the Sheikh, he basically says that يكون داعي إلى الله والناصح لعباده يتحرى ما هو أنسب وما هو أصلح وما هو أقرب للنفع. And he says that, so what should be is that the caller to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who's giving advice to the slaves of Allah, then he is one that looks into the investigation, looks to the issue and what is more beneficial and more suitable for this particular situation and what's closer to bringing the benefit. This is what we do. So it goes back to the ijtihad of the person. So don't say that what we're doing is not right when we ourselves say, oh, we know our people better. So you can't be in New York and tell us how to handle our people. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that because I already ran this past my teacher already. You can't tell me that already. And I don't have to prove to you anything.
No.
I don't. At the end of the day, we have Sheikh bin Baz over my teacher, saying the same thing that my teacher said. We don't even need my teacher at this point. Got Sheikh bin Baz, who he learned from, who he's at the feet of.
No.
May Allah help us.
It's amazing, man. We ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to allow the common folks to really wake up, to really start using the faculties they have and demand more from the people. We ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to stop the brothers that are at the head, our beloved brothers, may Allah preserve you, to stop. If some of you are doing this stuff deliberately, twisting brothers' words, causing communities to separate, if you're doing this, I ask you to make tawbah to Allah Jalla wa Ala. We ask you to leave this off. If you truly leave it off, we will embrace you. We're not the type of people that saying that we never will work with you. That's not our statements. We wish that you leave that stuff alone. We're not the ones that saying that, and that brothers are splitting because of this. No. We want you brothers to leave that stuff alone and let's continue to push this dawah forward. Let's continue to start building. That's what we ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to give us the strength to unite upon that, upon the true kalimat of Tawheed.
This is what we need. Let's unite upon Tawheed and Sunnah, no matter where we're from. Okay? Again, I'm saying, don't twist my words saying I was calling to Jahiliyyah or group or nationalism. No, I didn't call it that. I was just making a point. That's all I was doing. I was making a point. But we unite upon not being from Philly, not being from New York, not being from America. We unite upon La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, and the follow the way of the Salaf, the Sahaba and the Tabi'at the Tabi'. That's what we unite upon. And the Aimah that came after them. So the reality is that, we need to start working on what needs to be worked on. We don't have no schools. We have no academic places that's established like it should be. We have no social reform. Okay, so don't call me a Ikhwani for that, because the Anbiya, if you be sure the Shu'ara, I mean, they said taqullah, they said taqullah wa ati'un. They said fear Allah and obey me. Then they mentioned social ills. So the Anbiya dealt with social reform. Okay, the third thing is that wealth building. We're poor, broke. Our families are broke. We have nothing to give our kids in the future. You telling me we don't have schools, no social reform, and we have no wealth building? And you don't think that's a problem?
You want to know what's amazing? All the things he just talked about, guess who talked about that when he came back here? Sheikh Tahir.
Yeah.
Sheikh Tahir talked about all of that. Using Quran and Sunnah. Sheikh Tahir came back with that particular thing in mind in terms of working on wealth building, working on social reform, working on getting us to, academic. He talked about all of those things. And he concentrated on those things. But they got you and I thinking, if you listen to one thing he say, somehow bid'ah going to jump into your ears, and you off it. So much so, they got Hamza Dorazak going crazy down there. We asked Allah Jalla wa'ala to preserve our brother. Yeah. He's on the minbar saying these statements, and he need to stop doing that, because that's causing problems. You got the youth running around here saying, yeah, don't do this, don't do that. Come on, that stuff got to stop.
That stuff got to stop. And again,
that shit got to stop.
Anybody says social, let me say again, وَاتَّقُوا وَأَطِيعُونَ. The Anbiya said, fear Allah and obey me. Follow that messenger. Then they dealt with the homosexuality. Then they said, be upright in measurement and weight. Then they said, don't oppress people. Then they said this. Then they said that. So I can go many ayats. We don't have the time for that.
I'm going to say this before we close. I'm going to make this, and it's not a disclaimer. This is not a retracting our statement, because it's never been. But I am going to explain to you our intent in terms of whenever you hear us speaking about certain individuals, if they do something that's incorrect, we're not going to stand for it. So that don't mean we are in agreement with it. We're not going to play steps there. And one individual that comes in mind, that I have to say it, one individual that comes in mind as our beloved brother, and may Allah preserve him, and may us take him by the hand and truly show him love and sincerity, as our brother Shadeed Muhammad. We do not agree with a lot of the actions and the decisions that our brother has made. But that don't mean we play step there, and that don't mean that we are defending him in those particular actions that might be questioned or so forth. We're not doing that. So people can stop saying that we're sitting here just defending the brother on actions that might be questionable. We're not defending the brother on that. But what we're not going to do is, we're not going to let you sit there and say we're going to place a hook on that brother. We're not going to do that. And we're saying that that brother needs to be grabbed by the hand. He never had that opportunity or chance. Whatever you brothers talking about, yeah, we try to talk to him, we try to sit down. No, you didn't. You brothers was going back and forth, because I witnessed you do it with me. You didn't sit down and try to talk to me. You sit there and back and forth, back and forth. And then, you hit us with this, we're going to call a sheikh on you. You got to stop. I actually had Hassan Somoli call Sheikh Ahmed Bezmoor on me. He literally called Sheikh Ahmed Bezmoor and mentioned my name by name. And it's like, okay, you mentioned about a guy who you say is jahil, who is ignorant, who is not a student, who is not this. Why are you even mentioning my name? All because you say I support people who you say this. This stuff got to stop. It has to stop. Brother, you came here in the city. We took you with open arms.
In our city.
You gave ammunitions. I remember, fear the dunya. SubhanAllah. May Allah reward him for that. Many different other things. Teaching Ajr Umiyya. You did these things, something that we benefited. Abu Hassan Malik was one of my best Arabic teachers. Yeah. One of my best Arabic teachers was Abu Hassan Malik. Right? These things happen. But why now, when brothers come back? I came back from Egypt. When brothers come back and they come to deal with you, and they ask you to do ta'awun with them in dawah, you look at them and you say, I'm not doing nothing with you. I can never work with you in this arena. Where's this type of, you want to talk about kibber? This is arrogant.
And is that mannerism of somebody who's a guest? Because in reality, you're a guest. You're a guest here. In reality, you're a guest in our land, in our city. So is that the mannerism of a guest to now refute and attack the people of that town and that country that accepted you in and treated you like you was their brother and opened doors for you? Is that how you treat the mannerisms and the reception that you got? And for all those brothers from Philadelphia that's sitting around you, huh? All those brothers that's sitting around you right now from Philadelphia, you really is going to allow people that's not from us to actually come in here and do this like that? You're not going to say anything about that? Then I say shame on you again. I say shame on you. And we have to stop doing this. And we have to advise that brother.
Well, the brother is saying, basically, he's saying that anyone that's really not from our people, like Sheikh Tahir said, and there's nothing wrong with saying this statement. If Arabs are in the Arab country, then that's, if you are born Arab or you're a part of Arab, that's your people. If you're British, then that's your people. If you this, then that's your people. There's nothing wrong. All of the prophets, they mention that. Yeah, call me. Oh, my people. So when the brother's saying, don't let someone who's not an American or not a Philadelphian, at that matter, comes into Philadelphia or come into America and make the people of America or the people of that Philly town become segregated and not deal with each other, then he's saying don't allow that outsider to do it. He's not saying don't work with a person who's not from Philly. Don't work with a person who's not from America. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying don't deal with them, because Islam teaches us there is no racial colors. There is no colors. There is no racial barriers. There is none of that. So we know that all of our brothers and sisters. So we're not going to say that. But what we're saying is we're not going to allow people who are not originally from us to cause us problems. And if that's the case, we need to really look at ourselves.
Exactly.
We really need to look at ourselves.
We should be ashamed, especially the men. We should be ashamed, because it's as if you don't have a peer. To be honest with you.
No, man, that's correct. If you make one perceived mistake, you are finished.
Yeah.
We ask Allah Jalla wa'ala to allow our brothers and sisters, inshallah ta'ala, don't forget to go check out the video on the proper understanding of bid'ah. It's on our page. You can look at it with Hassan Somoli and the Spubs failed to tell you about bid'ah. Look at that. Those qawaid are very fundamental. Take your time. You don't have to try to listen to the whole thing. Write down your notes. Understand what it is. Exactly. We do need men. But inshallah ta'ala, we ask Allah Jalla to make us all better men. We also have a program down here for those who are interested. You can come down here with your son and the father, even if it's your stepson, you can come down, sign up. We have a father and son reconnect initiative, and we're trying to bring people back together. Also, we're going to have something coming up on domestic abuse soon, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to have a lecture coming up on domestic abuse and try to deal with that. We want to try to address the social ills. Remember that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before, when he went back to Khadija, our mother, radiallahu ta'ala anha, and he said, cover me. Remember she said to him that Allah would never disgrace you, because rather you keep the ties of kinship. Rather you are kind to the poor. Rather you are kind to the one who are calamity stricken. At that time, there wasn't Muslims in abundance. So that community that she was talking about doing that with, they were non-believers. No. And if that's the case, the Prophet ﷺ, he dealt with his people in the best of manners. We should do likewise in the best of manners, inshallah ta'ala. Ameen. Inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.